Welcome back to the 7 Deadly Sins Anime Review, episode number 24. This is reviewing the 70th episode when the Skull marching in, and the 341st chapter of the manga, Cath. Yes, this episode, and I looked it up because I have the book that adapts the chapters in, this book right here. This book adapts the entirety of chapters 244, 245. It adapts the last two pages of chapter 247, and it also adapts the rest. Basically, it picked up where it left off last week for chapter 248. Yeah, they pretty much finished that chapter, kind of, but they still skipped over the opening 2 pages for some strange reason. Yeah, and 249 adapted the entire thing. And as for any changes this episode, from what I can tell, they didn't really cut anything from what I can tell. I think they made one change that I can think of. Yeah, but mostly put, it's exactly the same as it was picked in the manga. I think that the only change they did make was they actually a flashback in this episode, which was actually not in the manga. What happens is it was actually 2 different plots going in this episode. First of which we have Now, in case you're wondering, Elizabeth and Meliodas are nowhere in the episode. It simply puts the rest of the 7 Deadly Sins and what they're up to, along with pretty much the other plot is simply what Margaret, Henderson, and Dreyfus are up to. Let's talk about that particular plot first. Yeah, this one's quite interesting. Now, mostly put, this is taken from chapters 244 and 245. Now, this particular sequence takes place a few days prior to the regular stuff in the episode, which is fine, because these chapters came before the chapters of this episode. Yep, as for this one, well, let's talk about this. Well, we have Margaret, we have basically faced off against a group of demons, saving a group of teenagers for when they're on a date. There is a slight change here. For some reason, the woman's face, basically is the guy and the girl here, the guy's face is perfectly the same as in the manga. The woman's face is slightly changed. It's a little more puffy than is the manga, for some reason. I'm not sure why. And mostly put, they're looking for a knight and a female sorceress, aka Gil Thunder, and Vivian. And they have no idea where they are. So, there's a campfire night nearby. They pretty much... Now, the conversation here is mostly unaltered in the manga. Yeah, there's this suggestion that Margaret went to pee, which I'm like, okay. And, they shoot away for a while, and then she just... Now, apparently she's been hearing a voice. What this voice is quite interesting. I'm like, okay. Now, she walks in the cave, and, we see this altar druid statue, and it actually has the spirit of a dead goddess. Which one? Why, is the leader of the goddesses from the Memories of Holy War arc. Wow. I never expected to see this guy. I thought this guy was dead. Well, he kind of is. It's kind of strange particular character because the goddesses are supposed to be all women, and yet this one looks like a guy. Yeah, it's particularly very weird. It's the leader of the goddesses, Lacha, which they actually added that line in, because in the manga it's like, I'm the leader, and they mention his name a little later, which I do appreciate them added that in. And then they opens up a spell, which takes it right into chapter 245. He basically just, while possessing Margaret's body, and of course, they agree to serve him and join his stigma. Yeah, there's also another scene later, basically, about reforming the stigma. Stigma, what this is, it's an alliance between goddesses, humans, I believe fairies, and giants. Basically, all the races in the universe of 7 Deadly Sins versus the demons. That's pretty much the alliance. Most of the alliance was wiped out during the actual war itself, when a group of humans actually betrayed the actual people who were there. But that was mentioned in the flashback. In the case of this episode, they go and they find Vivian pretty easily. As for Gil Thunder, he just basically running through the place, trying to slice up the walls, and it's also injuring his hands. Eventually, he finds a way to get to the roof of this place, and he goes outside, and it turns out he's actually in a palace in the sky. And then Vivian basically comes out, somehow it follows him, because she can detect his magic, and then she proceeds to do something quite strange. It's like, oh yeah, Kimios is gone. They're conquered by the. Yeah, she basically lies. It's just, hey, Gil, let's make a baby together and name it and have a girl and name it Margaret. And then Lashur comes right behind her and stabs her through the freaking neck. Yes, just like in the manga, stabs right through the neck with her finger. And walks up. It's like, and of course Dreyfus is like, hey, howdy, come over here and heal her. Like, and he's like basically just in awe of this place. And in case you're wondering, as far as I can tell, Vivian is actually dead. Because she doesn't really appear after this in the manga because she just disappears. Because it's kind of confirmed that she actually is dead. Gil Thunder is fine. They don't really say what it. Now, this scene is picked up later. And we get back to Seven Deadly Sins, where they take a strange magic coming toward them, and it's Zedros. Now, in the manga, Mel was with him. Which, for some reason, the anime decided to cut that particular thing out for some reason. I don't know why. That's where 247 comes in. And then we have the epic meeting. Where we have Merlin and Zedros. As far as I can tell, these two, prior to this, have never met each other before. It's like, Zedros like, I've never seen you before. Who are you? And then, of course, Merlin goes to her kid form. Because she can. And instead of fly up really high in the sky, and they kind of explain a bit of her backstory in this episode. Well, another portion of her backstory, where they mentioned that she was actually the one to receive a gift from Demon King and the Supreme Deity, who is a woman. Yes, apparently God in this universe is a woman. Despite the fact most pictures of God is usually a guy. That's the pictures I've seen in fiction of God, whenever he actually appears in fiction. Even in anime and manga, usually it's a guy. This is actually the first time God's been depicted as a woman. Which, that's actually quite a bit of a change. Fun fact about this. Now, here's the strange thing about the Supreme Deity. No one has any idea what this person's face looks like, because you see it's a woman because of the lower half of the body. But the face is always covered up for some reason. Demon King, we see his face all the frickin' time. And I have pretty good. Now we have pretty good idea what he looks like. The Supreme Deity, however, no idea what her face looks like. That's kind of the strange thing about her. She appeared briefly a couple times flashback. This episode, you do see her hand, but that's it. This is actually an addition that's actually not in the manga. They explain kind of a bit of her backstory here, where she basically didn't. She kind of took one of their gifts, and then the capital that she lived in, the capital of magic at Basturo, was destroyed. And of course, they talk about and she basically takes Galexia, not Galexia, it's Metascon, the one who has power of resurrections, gives her back to get back to the Zedros. And he's like, hey, and Percival Hercule, I'll free her in exchange. First, give me Elizabeth. He's like, I can't do that because I don't have any authority to do that. Okay. How about freeing the holy knights you have captive? It's like, I could do that. Done. All done. Yeah, freeze them from the control. Yep. Though they're attacked by frickin' demons. Now, there's also an additional scene here, which actually is from the manga, but it's actually taken. This is taken from 245, where we see. It looks like, I think it's Jericho Gather, I think her name is, the one who actually was a girlfriend to girlfriend, yeah, and of course I don't remember the guy's name. He's the current Great Holy Knight, acting one because he's kind of young, and looks like they're about to be defeated by the demons when they're helped by members of Stigma. Yep, they're making a comeback. And it looks like they're basically helped by a fairy and a goddess. Okay. Interesting. Thus setting up the modern day equivalent, well, basically this is the future anyways, 300 years after Holy War, to set up new Stigma. Which probably more equal than the last time. Who knows? And, yeah, and of course, the episode ends in the most Jaja way possible, in the most, best way to end an episode. Basically, it's like, okay, it's like, that, I thought that would be a response. And then we see a ball of fire, a humongous one, the size of the moon, basically plowing to Zeros, and then and reveal come from the Margaret possessed goddess. The goddess possessed Margaret says, "Take that as my sign of a greeting." Excellent episode. I love this one. This was fantastic. And I can't wait for next week's episode. Also, almost forgot to mention this. Basically, before Merlin went to talk to Zeros, she took a strand of her hair and put it on Hawk's nose. And it turns into a sunflower. Yes! Apparently Merlin can create a equivalent of a listening device. Yeah, she's wearing a wire. Basically, the 7W Sins can hear everything about the conversation. Every single tiny detail of the conversation between Zeros and Merlin. Which is interesting, the fact that she can do that. I'm like, okay, Merlin, you created a listening device. You basically gave him a bug. Yeah. Okay. Quite interesting. Can't wait for next week's episode, which starts chapter 250. Now, this arc, basically, to be adapted for the anime, there's only about 7 chapters left. And I think since this is the 18 episode season, there's actually not many episodes left. I think there's about, if they're going to be like ways before, it could be about 6 episodes left. Who knows? But I think they're probably going to finish up this arc probably before the end of the season. Probably start the Holy War arc. Who knows? Alright, now for Cath Palug. Chapter starts off with the 7 Deadly Sins minus Merlin, where they all discuss simply what to do with her and Chaos. She had to take responsibility, and they go after her. Yeah, that's the whole point of this conversation. It's like, we can't let this Chaos use. And then we cut to Merlin fighting the cat demon who was supposed to kill a couple chapters back. Who actually up the last chapter. They basically fight her. Arthur basically steps in to do some fighting too. And I think this is supposed to be the Demon King possessed Meliodas is saying, Camelot doesn't exist and he's like, oh, did you know? Camelot doesn't exist anymore due to the fight between the 7 Deadly Sins and Demon King. No, that's a lie. If you believe me, just take a look. You should have any trouble doing it with your power of chaos. No, it can't be. Arthur, don't be fooled by his words. But I can see it. The alpha side of Camelot that completely changed what I remember. We could build your kingdom again. Plus, the people who were poisoned, held hostage, were evacuated to Leonis. Even under the trench is gone. To know a lot of people were waiting for the return of their family and loved ones. I reckon would bring everybody back to were promised. Yep, and they continue the fight. Looks like they're fighting on a checkerboard. Yeah, it's an area basically that somehow Arthur created, and of course and then basically gets a big blast, fires right at Arthur, and then all of a sudden a full counter basically cuts in, and then basically Meliodas standing in front of Merlin, and she's like dumbfounded, like, Meliodas. And she's like, Sis, what are you doing here? No, it's not just 2 of us. Yeah, the rest of the things have to come out. It's like, hurry up with Arthur. Yeah, he's unconscious. Merlin, I need to take responsibility for chaos. From now on, I need you to spend your lifetime protecting and guiding Arthur. And she's like, did you go over here to tell me that? I didn't let me told you that. Also, we're responsible for allowing your stupid acts to take place. So allow us also protect you too. That's fine, right? And chapter ends with, I'm grateful. Yep. Next one, Cry of Victory. So yeah, we're gonna get really it's gonna be really epic. It's gonna be an epic battle next chapter. We have the 7 Deadly Sins versus a cat demon. Awesome. Yeah, most of the 7 Deadly Sins, I would say 6 of the 7 Deadly Sins because Escanor's dead, unless somehow they plan to resurrect him. I mean, it's only been I think it's been almost 10 chapters since he died. Yeah, but this overall is a really good chapter, and I give this one a 9 out of 10. Really badass chapter. So yeah, that's it for this particular review. I'm hoping to do a review of Mermaid Saga soon. I'll do it soon, hopefully. And see you there in that video. Bye.